Good morning, Cam.
Good morning, Mitch. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
So things been going well for you?
Things have been going well, Mitch, and I will save the big reason for later in the show. But yes, it's been a good week.
Oh, I'm getting excited. I'm excited that it's something to do with what's delighting you this week.
Yes.
Okay, that is not in the show notes, so this is going to be surprising.
I know. It's I'm building suspense for everybody, for those that care.
I'm not going to ruin it, so we'll just move on here. So I sent you a audio file the other day, or a song.
Yes.
To try out for
a song, as most people call them.
A song,
not an audio file yet.
So I
was becoming an audio file, though, aren't you?
I'm appreciating things a little more than I used to. I have been an audio guy, but not like if you don't listen to it in lossless, that's never been me. I've always felt like 128, 192 kilobits per second audio, in an MP3 has been just fine for me.
So you're not going to get a wireless DAC like Federico?
No, I don't have a need for a DAC, but although I do like the way it looks on a desk. Just have this little box with a knob on it.
All right, you heard it here, folks. Within the next 6 months, Mitch will have a DAC.
But I sat down the other day with my AirPods Max and my phone, and I wanted to see, can I notice the spatial audio? Is the lossless a big deal? And try and do a comparison as much as I can, because you know how stuff sounds. But am I getting the benefit out of spatial audio or lossless? So first off, I'll talk about the easy one, lossless. I feel like maybe this music sounds just a little bit fuller, but it's not significant enough. I wouldn't pay more for it. So what I do like about Apple Music is it gives you that option for free.
Mm-hmm.
Free on top of your membership. You're not paying an additional premium membership or anything like that. I wouldn't buy Tidal for that, but I do like the fact that we do have the option to do lossless now.
Mm-hmm.
But the spatial audio, a little bit different story with the spatial audio. I sent you a song. If you guys go to Apple Music and you go to their spatial audio playlist, I'm trying to remember if it has a better name than that.
Probably not.
Made for Spatial Audio is the name of the
that's
playlist.
Exactly what Apple will call it.
Yep. So if you go to that playlist and you play through a bunch of stuff, there's some stuff. I think what really caught me is if you listen to music in a large room, there's a phenomenon called phasing. Music travels. It doesn't just come into existence. It travels from the speaker to your ear. Something that I did notice in the spatial audio is if you listen real carefully, you can hear the music traveling. It might take a fine ear to kind of hear that, but it does feel like it is a much larger sound stage that it's on than if it were just coming over just a standard MP3 without the spatial audio.
Yeah.
So for most tracks, I think that's the takeaway for me. There was a track that I sent you the other day. I'm going to try and see if I can find it here real quick. So I want to get the name right. And quite honestly, I don't know that I say this guy's name correctly. Tiesto?
I think so.
It's I just lost it. It's right in front of me here. Tiesto and Seven has a song called Boom in that playlist. Boom. I think out of all the songs that I heard, that song, and it is an electronic song, so it takes a lot of advantage of the spatial audio to the point that there's music swirling around you. There's stuff going on behind your head and in front of your head, and
stuff that travels too. That was the coolest part.
Traveling.
It's like like you could feel it moving across the spectrum. It was really, really
I don't know if you got the same experience I had with the bass that was kicking in that song. Because I didn't try it on my AirPods Pro. I just was listening to my Max, which I know is probably going to have better bass. But the bass in that song too was just pounding, and you could feel it traveling around you a little bit. Not that it was intended to travel, but you know, if you're in a room where there's a lot of bass, you have this kind of three-dimensional feel to it. It definitely had that, where I don't see that I get that from a non-spatial audio. So I was pretty impressed.
Were the mids punchy and the treble crispy?
Oh,
what about the high mids, Mitch?
The high mids were crispy and punchy.
Nice.
See, and and I'm not that kind of audiophile. I'm not a snobby audiophile. I'll put it that way. You notice stuff.
We won't name names.
No, we won't.
I want to, but I'm gonna be a good boy, and I'm not gonna do it.
If you're talking about who I think you're talking about, I don't think he's quite as bad as he was.
Let's move on.
Yeah. So that's that. Now, we did talk a little bit just before we started recording that you've got the beta on your phone now for a week, right?
Yes.
iOS 15 beta.
That is correct, sir.
So we talked a little bit. I think I talked a little bit about my experience with it. Is there anything you wanted to add about your experience with the beta?
Yeah, I mean, so I was thinking about it, and like the only time I really notice that I'm on the beta is when I look at notifications, because they look different, and when I use Safari. Other than that, it feels the same, and that's unusual in compared to previous years where there's design changes or significant. But because so much of iOS 15 is like across all the platforms, it's less visually apparent, across the board. In certain places, it's obvious, like notifications. Holy cow, these look way better now. I like them a lot. And I'm getting used to Safari on the iPhone. My muscle memory is still to go to the top to hit the URL bar. I still don't like the fact that refresh is hidden. I think that's dumb. But I am getting used to the bar being on the bottom, and I actually kind of like it. I just need to, retrain 8 years of muscle memory that it's at the top. So that's the only downside. But I like the new tab view where it's a grid instead of that Rolodex. I like that a lot. But I think hiding the main buttons, like, refresh is still just like, why? It literally is like a 15 by 15 pixel icon. You don't need to hide it.
Yeah. And
it's really helpful. It's like that and the back button are probably the most used buttons in Safari for a reason. So it's just, I don't like that, but yeah. So overall it's been good. The biggest issue I've had with the beta thus far, as like wonkiness is concerned, is the other day I couldn't use speakerphone. Like it said speaker was on, but it was only coming out of like the normal, and like I toggled it on and toggled it off and all, and it just wouldn't speaker. So that's, again, I don't know if that's directly tied to the beta or if my phone was just choking. But that's really the only significant usage issue I've run into since I've had it in the week. So, and I mean, it's publicly at a 3, so you would think that a lot of the major stuff would be worked out by then. So it's not alarming that I haven't had very many issues with it. So.
Yeah. And have you noticed that in the stacks, they do a Siri suggestions now for widgets?
Yeah. They auto add it. Yeah. And I delete it every single time it shows up. Yeah. Why? No, these are my stacks. I built these. How dare you insert your Siri suggestions into something that I custom, like that's honestly, it really annoys me. And I had forgotten about it because I deleted them right away when I found them. but now you have reminded me of it and I'm angry again. So like, honestly, think about it. This is something like whether or not I have smart rotation on or off and what is in a stack, I have made those decisions consciously and for a reason. How dare you insert Siri suggestions and or turn smart search or smart rotate back on? Why? Don't do that. I made this. Don't touch what I made.
Yeah. So that was my initial reaction to the Siri suggestions. I have now just like left one widget with the Siri suggestions on just as a test to see. And I find them a little useful. Normally they're not. And normally it's in one of my throwaway widgets that I threw a widget in, it's kind of taking up the space. I have a widget on my entertainment home screen that is just for deliveries. I don't know if you can see it. It's not picking up in the camera very well. But it's just for deliveries. And I've got nothing in deliveries right now. Anything of consequence, at least. So if that like pops up and says, hey, you want to watch the Brewer game? And it's like, oh yeah, I kind of am interested in that, and it did that the other day, which I thought was kind of cool, but I was at work, so I couldn't, but just the fact that it popped up and said, hey, by the way, this is going on right now. Are you interested in checking this out? Or, or recommending an app for me or something like that. Find it interesting. I don't quite find it as maddening, but to have one, I've got on my home screens right now, I have like a minimum of 3 widgets per home screen.
So what really annoys me about them adding Siri suggestions is like my phone knows that I use Siri suggestions, but I use them on this screen, the pull down where you search for your apps. There's Siri suggestions at the top. And I use that all the time because generally the app that I want is there. It's actually quite good. So apparently I'm a creature of habit and do certain things at certain times, and Siri has picked up on that. So my phone knows that I use that. Why would they then insert them in random stacks on my widget, in my widget stacks? Like, just don't do that. It's dumb. I use this in one specific spot. Very frustrating. Anyways, sorry. I digress.
No, it's all right, man. It's good. We talked a little about QuickNote last time. Actually, let's not get off of Safari yet. We'll talk about QuickNote here in a minute. I just wanted to make the comment that I'm really getting used to the new Safari on Monterey. I understand the criticisms of the all-in-one bar at the top, the single, tab bar, address bar, all that. Totally get the issues that people are having with it. I really sold myself into just use it that way for a while and see, what you like. And honestly, when they did the reversion this last week with beta 3 and they added the tab bar back. Now, understand, I don't think the tab bar solution that they came up with is the final by any means, but I kind of hate it. I think it's worse than the initial one. So being that you can go back and you can turn that off, I went back to the way it was in the initial Safari in Monterey with just the single bar at the top, and I'm liking it. I don't have a problem with it. So I don't think that it's better or worse than I have Monterey on my laptop, and I'm still on Big Sur on my iMac because I'm not going to change that anytime soon. But jumping between the two Safaris, like I think it feels more modern. It feels okay. I don't hate it. I'm just gonna leave it there. It's a freaking web browser. If I really wanted to get that up in arms about it, I just go use Google Chrome, and because I use that at work most of the time, and I'm happy with it. But
who needs battery life?
Yeah, well, who needs battery life on an iMac that's plugged into power all the time?
Yeah, there you go. Fair point.
So, but yeah, I'm not finding myself hating it like a lot of people are. But as far as iPad OS, it is what it is. I don't know that there's a whole lot to say. There is a little bit to be saved with the added space that it provides and stuff. But I don't. I do like one thing about the new Safari is that when you, and maybe I'll throw a screenshot in for this, but when you let me send you this and see what you think. I'll text this over to you. When you're on the home screen, the color, the background goes edge to edge on the screen. And I dig that. I think it looks really nice.
Can you dig it, sucker?
Right. So, and then you can judge me by my bookmarks. But but if you look at the home screen, like the whole screen is that background instead of having the toolbar at the top and then having your background.
Yeah.
I think that looks really nice. I have gotten used to the color bleeding into the toolbar at the top on a lot of websites. Not all websites work with that. I know like our church website doesn't, because technically the background that it's reading on Squarespace is a different color than what's showing, like the header background, because we have an image there instead of the background. So I could go in and change the color of that image, but yeah, whatever. And I may do that. I'm working on a redesign right now, so I may do that eventually, but yeah, so I'm happy with it. I don't hate it. So high praise.
So positive.
Mm-hmm. So
that's high praise.
Yeah. So quick note. I was really hoping that quick note was going to be a little bit, I don't know. I'm in a file in the Files app and I swipe up to make a note. How hard is it for there to be like a link there that takes you back to that file? You know, if you go into notes and you want to see like what that file or what that note is tied to, you know, to be able to go back to that file, it's right in your system, man. That would to me, that seems like if I'm going to do a quick note and it's tied to a web page, that's awesome. But if I'm in a file or if I'm, you know, in some other context and I'm making a quick note, why is it just going into notes as a just a note? You know, I feel like there should be something more to it. If that makes
backlinks.
Sense. Backlinks maybe is the term I was looking for. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, it's 1.0, right?
Right.
They have room to grow. That's the slang. It's a 1.0. There's room to grow.
There you go.
Ding.
Show title.
Please no. We have to have a better show title than that.
I don't know. I felt like I pushed the limit a little bit with the monkey lizard one last time, but oh. But anyway, so have you looked into Private Relay a whole lot?
Not really. Have you?
Not really.
I use ExpressVPN.
Me too.
Not a sponsor.
Right.
Yet.
I do really like ExpressVPN. You're not getting all the features in Private Relay that you would get with a regular VPN. You can't do location shifting. You know, I can't say that I'm in New Jersey.
Yeah, I've never been to New York, but my internet traffic sure has. There's the show title.
Yeah.
It's a bit wordy, but
so but to me, and the private relay doesn't work with my Eros. So I don't know what it is about it, but I get a message back that says Private Relay is not compatible with your Wi-Fi network. So I'm not sure if that has something to do with a mesh network or if there's just, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I installed Eros at the church too, and it does the same thing at the church. So
interesting.
I just turned it off. ExpressVPN does a job for me, so I'm not concerned about it. So I did an experiment this last week, or actually since I got the beta. I really like the new wallpaper. You know, the little colored blobs on the white or black background.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided I was going to do what you do, the light mode during the day, dark mode at night, let it auto switch. Because I think that you're still doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I thought, I'm gonna try and live the cam lifestyle and see how this works.
Drink it in, my dude.
Right. So I sent you some screenshots of the two different modes, the light mode and the dark mode, the way I have it set up. And if there's any reason for me to continue to do this, it is the delight that I get when it goes into dark mode at night. Because if you look at those two images, does the dark mode not just look super rich? Like it just looks so nice.
Switching from light mode. Yeah. Yeah, it does look nice.
There's just something so satisfying about the dark background with the colors.
Mm-hmm. You have to move the audible icon. I'm sorry, you have to. It bleeds into the background. You can't see it.
My audible icon? Did I take
on your car on CarPlay?
Oh, it is what it is. I don't look at that much. I did send you CarPlay screenshots as well. I didn't say that to the listeners, but
well, yeah, those you sent me light and dark for CarPlay. You only sent me dark for your phone. I didn't get a light version.
What? You didn't get a light one? Well,
that's why I thought you were talking about CarPlay. Sorry.
Let me look.
But you do love this background. You have it on all of them.
Mm-hmm. You know what? You're right. The light one did not come through. Let me remedy that here real quickly. That should be incoming.
Cue the elevator music. All right, there we go.
The elevator beatbox.
Interesting.
The white background just doesn't look as nice. Even looking at these screenshots, I'm like, yeah, I definitely have to go back to black, go back to the dark mode. But at any rate, so I wanted to share those with you and get your impression of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, I love that dark mode. It just looks so nice. But being that you seem to like the light mode a little bit better and from what I've gathered.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to get your opinion on
that. I was dark mode from the moment it was available on iOS until I don't know, 6 months ago. And then I just switched it off and I was like, oh, this is a whole new experience. I forgot because I was on 24/7. It was dark mode. But I was starting to have issues where I would be reading black background, white text, and I would stop reading and I could still see the lines in front of my, this is not good for my eyeballs at all. So I switched back. And I actually do enjoy light mode during the day. I don't like it at night because, I appreciate my retinas and, so that I also have the mode where that changes the temperature of the screen at night too. So it's dark mode plus it's really warm.
That night shift. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's what it's called. So, but in general, right now, you can tell, but I also have really soft and subtle gradient backgrounds. I don't like the busy ones so much, like yours. But and I actually on my iPad, I have a black and white photo as the background, which I really like because it makes the colors pop a lot more. A picture of my daughter throwing a rock in the river. She's obsessed with throwing rocks in water. I don't know why. Oh, because she's a child. That's why.
Yeah. Oh, funny side story. That got me in a lot of trouble when I would go out to my grandparents. They lived on Lake Winnebago here in Wisconsin.
There's an actual lake called Lake Winnebago. That's amazing.
It's the largest freshwater lake in Wisconsin.
Nice.
Possibly in the world.
No, that would be one of the Great Lakes from the state that I grew up in, Mitchell.
No.
Got to get smitten with the mitten.
Yeah. Nope. Hey, man, this is an aside of an aside, but Bucks just won the finals this week.
I did. Yeah, I watched the final 4 minutes.
NBA champs. So
who thought that the Milwaukee Bucks would win a championship? Good for them.
Yeah, good for them. Brewers are doing pretty good too. So I've been pretty happy about that. They beat the White Sox last night in pretty convincing fashion. So very good. Anyway, totally not what we're talking about. My grandpa used to get so upset with us when we'd throw rocks in the lake because every year, one of the things that he would do is throw on his waders and walk through this whole area, the little inlet that he had on the property, and pick up all those rocks and bring them back over to the shore and set them on the shore. So he used to get so mad at us when we would throw rocks in, because they weren't small rocks. They were like decent sized. They were the rocks that he had up on the shore to keep the soil back, like the retaining wall rocks. So we were naughty kids. So, but anyway, so your verdict, do you would you still prefer light mode over dark mode in my situation?
With that background, I think the dark mode looks better. That background. And with the widgets and apps that you have on your home screen, I think dark mode does look better. Mm-hmm. But I like my light mode on my phone, my background.
Right on.
But yeah, I think like I said, in your situation, it's dark mode is more pleasant.
Cool. I didn't think you'd disagree with me, but I thought, cool.
We disagree regularly, so we also agree on a few things, so that's good. Keeps the conversation lively, Mitch.
Oh, absolutely. I don't mind disagreeing with you as long as we get some good conversation out of it.
As long as you know that I'm right.
I honestly have never had an issue with people disagreeing with me as long as they're willing to hear me out and understand.
Oh yeah, and that's exactly
my viewpoint.
Exactly.
If you still don't disagree with me after you've heard my argument, or if you still disagree with me after that, I can live with it. So
yeah, it's the folks that refuse to listen that are the reason society is what it is. But we'll put a pin in that conversation and save it for another time.
Or you run into that person that just doesn't want to listen. Their only point in the conversation is to argue their point.
Well, I'm louder, so that makes me right. No, that's not how that
makes
works.
You more wrong than it does right. But anyway, we've talked a little bit on the show, I think, about my Hulu setup over the course of the year. Do you recall this? That we would bump our Hulu subscription up in the fall.
Oh yeah, so you could get
football.
Go Lions!
Yep. Good luck this year, by the way. I quite honestly, I believe that all the world's problems can be solved with a spreadsheet. And so I
love your optimism.
Yeah, I sat down with the spreadsheet. There are not enough spreadsheets in this world.
Said no one ever.
So I sat down the other day because I wanted to look at what the difference would be between continuing to do things the way that we're doing them and coming up with a better option. So there's a part of this conversation I want to be very careful not to go too deep into because it's going to transition into what's delighting me this week. So the current plan that we had with Hulu, we would do $12 a month for 6 months out of the year, and that was just your basic Hulu with no ads because ads suck, and we don't like watching ads. And then when we would get into the fall, to be able to get the no ads with Hulu with live TV. And we also bought the enhanced DVR feature that would give us more DVR space. and there's like an enhanced no ads something with that as well. So we would opt for that, and long story short, it was $85 a month to do that, which to me was
It's a lot more than 12.
It's a lot more than 12. On top of that, we're paying Spectrum $67 a month for our internet.
Mm-hmm.
I threw in a couple of into the spreadsheet. I threw in a couple of the subscription services that we pay for. So Disney Plus and Peacock. We do have Amazon and Apple TV Plus, but I don't include those because we have those in bundles.
Mm-hmm.
So to piece those out didn't make as much sense. Putting all that stuff together, when we would do the just regular Hulu with no ads, no live TV, it was $97 a month for all of that stuff together. It went up to $170 a month for the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And when I shared this with my wife, she's like, "Holy crap, that's a lot of money." And it is, and that includes our internet. So, put that into perspective. Thank you. So we looked at a few different options, and what it came down to. So we switched to Spectrum here a few years ago, Spectrum Cable.
Mm-hmm.
And I was relatively happy with what they had to offer channel wise and stuff like that, but their box sucks. Send your box back to the 90s. That's where it belongs. I mean, seriously, the interface is terrible. Skipping commercials, that experience is awful. It was just, it felt like we went from being in the 21st century to going back, 10 years in hardware design and software design. It was just terrible. Their systems need a huge refresh. So in doing it this time, my wife and I have had TiVo service before.
Uh-huh.
And we used to have a box, or we still have the box, but we don't really get very good antenna service here because of where we live. It's real hilly, and the service that we get is out of Madison, so it's a distance away from us, and so it becomes very challenging for us to get any kind of like regular service. So I tried for a while to do the Plex Pass with the DVR options and stuff like that with our antenna, and I never got any satisfying service from that. But we did use, when we lived up in the Dells, we did use a TiVo box there that we got fairly decent service there. So, the TiVo box worked really well for us there. I was very happy with the TiVo box, and kind of sad when we had to put it in the closet and retire it because we couldn't get the antenna service we needed. And that particular box was only for OTA. So
okay,
I you couldn't use it for anything else. Fast forward to a week ago, or a little over a week ago, I'm talking to my wife about this, and I says, if we bought the TiVo box, we paid for the monthly service, and we signed up for Spectrum, here's what it would cost us. So keep in mind, $97 a month for Hulu. It came out to about $109 without the cost of the hardware. It came out to $109 a month for the Spectrum service and the TiVo, the $15 a month for TiVo and our subscription services. So that's including internet and the cable TV service. Again, Spectrum server. I'm sorry, the TiVo service and our streaming services. So $109 a month for all
compared to the $170.
Compared to $97 a month for Hulu without live TV, and $170 a month for Hulu with live TV.
Gotcha.
So, and the fact that I just felt more and more like it just really sucked to have to switch the services back and forth all the time, because you would get the Hulu with live TV and now suddenly you have all this stuff you can watch and record and all that stuff. And then you go back to 6 months of, now I got to buy my stuff from Apple to, a couple of shows that I wanted to watch, buy it from Apple and do, which I never had a problem with, but just that switching back and forth created some liabilities for us. So I said, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it permanent. And so we switched back to cable.
Interesting.
With the TiVo. And it was pretty awesome the way it worked, because I ordered my TiVo on Thursday or Wednesday from Amazon. I got it from Amazon, not direct from TiVo, because I saved myself about $150 on the box doing it that way. And I called Thursday morning. I called Spectrum and got everything set up with them. Got the cable card sent, which I thought was going to be a bigger pain in the butt than it was, but it wasn't. They set that up really easily with me and sent me the cable card and everything. I got everything on Friday.
Nice.
And I had the TiVo, the cable card, everything hooked up Friday night. Now I was busy with some stuff, so I wasn't able to get it all. I didn't finish connecting it until like late Friday night. But one little tip, if you do ever go to TiVo and you set up a TiVo, if you do not buy the box from TiVo, it is not pre-authorized, or it's not set up for you ahead of time. So what you have to do is you have to go in, you have to authorize it online before you can actually go through all the setup service, which is not, it was like a little footnote in their directions. So it's not super intuitive. I kind of banged my head against that for a little bit before I went back and I read more carefully. I was like, oh, I got to go set up the service online first. So, but once I did that, everything's been working really well. So that's where I'm going to stop that.
That's an interesting journey, Mitch.
Yeah. So how do you get your TV service?
YouTube TV.
YouTube?
I've been a YouTube TV since it came out, like 4 or 5 years ago.
I tried it. How does that DVR service work? Because it seemed like it wanted to kick me over to video on demand.
Unlimited DVR.
So if you record a program right now, you can watch it right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that was not my experience. I tried to record. I set up the service. I tried to record SmackDown on a Friday night and then go and watch it right away on Saturday morning, and it wasn't available.
When was this?
A couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah, no, you can so even if you're if it starts at 7, you hop on at 7:45. You can say join live or start from beginning.
Yeah,
and then sometimes it will record multiple instances of the show, and so when you click on it, you can say watch and you choose which version you want. Okay. But I've never had an issue where I wasn't able to watch anything that I recorded, whether it was already completed or in progress.
Yeah, because it did not record the Friday Night SmackDown, and it wanted to push me to the video on demand, which was not available yet. So,
yeah, I've never had an issue with it not recording the stuff that I wanted to record. I have it set up to and you can. So, the cool thing is, especially with sports, you can set it to record just one game, all of a specific team's games, or all of the league games that it shows. So, I have it set up to record all of the CONCACAF Gold Cup games, but only to record the Arsenal, Chelsea, Premier League games.
Yeah.
Not, all of the Premier, just specific teams. And so when tournaments come up, like the World Cup, I'll have it record all the World Cup games and not just a specific team. So you have some granularity control there, which is, I really like. I can watch it wherever I'm at on any device. It's like $65 a month. That's it. I get all the channels I want, unlimited DVR. I can watch it on my phone, on my iPad, on my computer, on my Apple TV. I can watch it at my parents' house when I'm in Detroit visiting. So for me, it's an all-in-one package that works. They keep adding channels, and every once in a while the price goes up. Like I think when I got in, it was like $40 a month, and now it's 65.
Yeah.
But it's still only $65 a month.
So it falls down for one reason for me.
What's that?
Doesn't have the History Channel.
It doesn't have the History Channel.
I watch the History Channel like crazy. That's like
I can honestly say
one of my main channels.
I do not.
Yep.
It has all the channels that I want, and then about 40 that I don't care about.
Yeah,
and that's the annoying part is they don't do tier packages. So like they're like, hey, we're changing the price by going up $5 a month and adding all these great channels. I don't want any of these channels. But so that the one part where it does fall down for me is there are no packages or tiers that you can subscribe to.
Right.
Because I would certainly pay less for less channels, but that's not an option.
No, with the History Channel, honestly, when we would step down our stuff from Hulu, the two shows that I would buy from Apple are both History Channel shows. The Curse of Oak Island and Forged in Fire. I think those are both history shows. So, yeah. Big history fan. Like history.
Oh, that's a bummer then that YouTube TV won't work for you.
No, but I'm super happy with what we're doing here. So, and I'll share a little bit more in the delighting me section about how that's working for me. So, so YouTube TV is the only one you go with, or you have some other services?
Yeah. So YouTube TV, and then I'm currently paying for Netflix, which I go on and off with. I'm watching The Blacklist, which I find quite entertaining. Did you ever watch that? That's a good
show. Oh yeah, my wife and I are both into that.
I'm on season 3, and it's usually Monster of the Week shows aren't really my vibe, unless they're funny, like Psych, which I think is one of the best TV shows of all time. You can hate me if you want. I don't care. It's hysterical, and if you don't like it, you're wrong. But like most like crime-based Monster of the Week shows are really not my jam. But I find Blacklist very funny and actually pretty intriguing from a storyline perspective. Like the meta narrative is very intriguing, and so it's less about which bad guy they're catching this week, and more about what trying to figure out and like this means that and that means this, and trying to piece together ahead of time what's going to happen. And the amount of times I've been wrong so far is equal parts infuriating and intriguing. Like this show actually is going somewhere, I think, and I hope. Because all of the obvious tropes, they dangle in front of you and then they veer, which I actually find quite refreshing from a show. So
I'm going to tell you this only because I want to warn you to be careful that you don't spoil yourself. Just a few weeks ago was the series finale.
Oh, okay.
So everything is out there now.
Well, so I don't Google it or anything like that. I just, my only,
keep yourself spoiler free because the ending is satisfying and at the same time doesn't
can't hear you.
Yep.
But like I went for like a year without Netflix, and then I brought it back there's another show that's on there that is really good. It's called Lupin. It's a French series, and it's about these novels, The Gentleman Burglar, Arsène Lupin, and this guy that takes what he did and kind of adapts it to modern day France and his sort of escapades. It's really, really good. And it's overdubbed in English, so you don't have to read the subtitles if you don't want. But it's a really good show. I recommend that. And then of course I have Disney Plus because I have a 4-year-old and I like Star Wars and Marvel. So there's that. And then Apple TV Plus and Amazon come with, like you said, the bundles that I have for other things, iCloud storage and music and 2-day shipping with Amazon. Another show that I've been that I'm rewatching on Amazon Prime is Jack Ryan.
I have not dipped into that one.
Dude, oh, Mitch, it's so good. It's so good. There's 2 seasons of it. I cannot wait for the 3rd one to come out. It's super good. Couple lots of swears.
I would assume that from that show.
Yeah. But yeah,
Ted Lasso's back.
I know season. I'm excited.
Did you watch season 1?
Yeah, it's hysterical. It's not the most. None of these shows are the most wholesome.
But
that's
so
the problem
good.
with good. I know that's the problem with TV. Is the best stuff isn't the best.
I'm gonna try and get my wife to watch Schmigadoon with me.
I don't know what that one is. That's the new Cecily Strong and who else is in it? Who's the guy?
I hate to tap on it, but it's on. I don't know
who's the male actor?
Gonna make me tap on this, and it's gonna accidentally start something. No, it didn't. Okay. Keegan-Michael Key.
There it is. Okay, there we go.
That's a show that takes place in a musical. Like these 2 people get transformed or transported into the musical. From what I'm understanding is that they have to find true love to get out. So it's at a cheesy premise, but it looks like really fun.
Well, and those 2 are hysterical. So I'm sure it's going to be quite funny.
Yeah. So looking forward to digging into that one. I did open up the Apple TV app, not to go through all my Apple TV shows, but because I was trying to find the release date for Foundation, which is September 24th.
Oh, that one does look interesting.
Excited about that. I've read the first Foundation book.
Okay.
And I know that the series is basically based in that world. The way the Foundation books are written, I think it's near impossible to actually adapt those perfectly to TV, but to use the characters, use the concepts that are in the books and stuff like that. I think this show looks like it could be really good. I really hope they do it well. So I'm afraid it's just going to be another shoot 'em up sci-fi show. But
yeah, but I mean, for the amount of like how early they debuted the trailer for it, and I think they're hoping this is their Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah,
I think
so too.
Now, who knows, right? But
the visuals look amazing. So I think so far it looks like it's really, really well done. But yeah, so trying to think of if we've been watching anything else. I'm rewatching the original Transformers cartoons. I'm just about done. But I'm a huge fan of Transformers, so I figured I don't know that I've actually done a full rewatch of them before, so going back and rewatching them, there's a lot that's terrible about them, but when we were kids, it didn't matter. It was fun, just a way to sell us toys. But
Transformers toys are pretty cool, though.
They are pretty cool. I'd love to go back and collect all the Gen 1 toys again, but I don't think I could afford that.
I was going to say those are probably not cheap at this point. Nerds be driving prices up, Mitch.
So I didn't plan on talking about this, and it's not in our show notes today, but I'm really excited about it, so I wanted to share because it's kind of coming up to our childhood and stuff like that. So I'm guessing, like all kids, you were into Legos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm on the verge of getting into doing Lego modeling and stuff. Building models out of Legos.
So you're not going to be modeling for Lego?
Yeah. I realized after I said that this joke is coming whether I like it or not. So I better get ahead of this one. There are sites, Rebrick-It, I think, is one of them that I went to, where you can look up customer or user made models. and they have all the parts that you need. They have the directions in them, all that kind of stuff. Have you watched The Expanse?
Yes. Also a great show.
The Rocinante is available on this website in 2 different versions that you can build the Lego models for. Now, you got to do a little work because you've got to find a place where you can buy all the parts. And you got to put it all together. But you can. I bought the manual for it, and it comes with a complete parts list, step-by-step directions to put it together, all this kind of stuff. And this one actually came with the image files for printing the stickers to go on it to make it more true to form. Like that, this is the one that I got. There's 2 different versions of it. There's a lighter looking version. I think that's from earlier in the show. And then later in the show, it's more dark. They painted it darker color. I'm trying to remember if it's the opposite way around or not. But there's like 2 different versions of the way it looked. So I've got the lighter of the 2. I would love to build the darker of the 2 sometime too. But so I discovered a place down on the south side of Madison. It's actually in Fitchburg, where you can go in and you can buy all your parts individually, and they sell them by the pound. So you basically, you fill your bag with parts, you walk up, you put it on the scale, and you pay for how heavy your bag is. And no joke,
meat market.
I priced these parts out on online, and they were over $800 for all the parts I needed to put this together.
How much is Lego per pound?
This is not at the store. This is through other websites online. And that included shipping and stuff like that too. But I've been told, and I have not verified this myself, but I've been told that if I go to this store and I buy all the parts that I need, because it's pay per pound, it's going to be like $20 to get all the parts I need.
That delta between 820 is ludicrous.
It's huge. Now, my feeling on it is that these are not the authentic Lego parts, because Lego no longer has a patent on their parts, so other companies can manufacture them, and that these are not official Lego pieces, but they're manufactured to the Lego standards, and they're interchangeable. But yeah, I'm kind of excited about this. I want to do it.
They're called Lego bricks.
Yeah, something like that. But it's a store. It's actually a chain of stores called Bricks and Minifigs. And you might even be able to find one near you, but yeah, they do they sell all these parts, and then they have tables in back where people can come and they can build, and you can actually build the whole project before you buy it. It just can't leave the store. And then when you're all done, you just walk up, you put it on the scale, and they charge you for how heavy it is. So
interesting.
Yeah. Sounds like fun. So anyway, that's totally aside to what we were talking about today, but I'm pretty excited about it. So, so what's delighting you today, Cam?
Oh, Mitch. It's not just delighting me today. It's been delighting me for the last 5 and shall continue to delight me every day. I got a new car.
You got a new car.
And it is glorious. So, like a month ago, I got T-boned driving home from picking my daughter up from the babysitters. The babysitter lives 3 minutes away. And that's only because there's a stoplight. If there wasn't a stoplight, it would be like, a minute and a half or 2. And we were driving, and this guy, we're just on a side street, and this guy pulled out from a stop sign with this giant Dodge Charger and just drove straight into the driver's door. All the airbags on the inside, the side curtain airbags, not the front ones, all on both sides, all went off. Scared the crap out of my daughter. It sounded like a gunshot went off inside the car. Very loud. Dust in the air, like all that is gross. So everyone was fine, including my daughter, which was, the only thing I cared about. And 2 weeks go by. Car's been sitting at the shop. State Farm claims portal says repairs in progress. And I'm like, all right, I know there's like shipping delays on stuff right now, but 2 weeks should be plenty of time to get a door. So I call the collision shop. They're like, oh yeah, we've never heard from your insurance company. Excuse me? It's been 2 weeks and the car's just been sitting there and you haven't done anything with it? No, we haven't heard from your insurance company. Okay, this is what happens when you leave professionals to do their jobs, apparently. So I call my insurance company. And she's like, well, actually, we've decided to total your vehicle and not repair it. I'm like, well, that's information I could have used 2 weeks ago because I'm borrowing a car from friends this whole time, 2 weeks, right? So I'm annoyed. And she's like, well, I know that the online portal can be kind of confusing. I'm like, no, it's not confusing. It says repairs in progress. That's about as simple a sentence as there is. Repairs are in progress. Words mean things, and those all mean that there's work being done on the car currently. So anyways, they total the car. Takes a couple of days to get the check. I have to find a new car. And I wanted this particular car, and I'm saving the reveal for a few minutes since I was like 10 or 12. I remember there was a guy down the street that had an all-white sporty version of this car, and I fell in love with it then, and I've wanted one ever since, and I'm 34 now. So, this has been a desire for a long time. So I start searching on Carvana. Are you familiar with them?
Yes, I am. Mm-hmm.
So I went, and they have a nationwide database of cars. And so I started searching for this car, and I found one in Arizona, 2015 BMW 328i, 68,000 miles, in great shape. All leather seats, heated front seats, sunroof, backup camera, satellite navigation, the whole 9 yards for a ridiculously reasonable amount of money. I'm paying less per month for this car than I was for my Ford Escape. Let's put it that way. So I've upgraded my vehicle extremely, and I'm paying less for it. Now there's a few other factors that go into that. But I found one, and they shipped it from Phoenix to Chicago for free. And I got it out of a car vending machine, which might be the most American thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, I've seen pictures. I've never seen it. I've never seen the thing.
Quite possibly the most over-engineered thing I've experienced in my life. So you show up, you sign you do all your contracts online, but they walk you through everything. You sign a few things. So the best thing is they get your license plates. So in Illinois, it's different in other states based on laws, but in Illinois, they do the title and registration for me. They get my plates for me. I never have to go to the DMV to do any of this. They do it all for me and they just mail it to me, which is amazing. But they get a coin that's the size of a good sized donut in circumference.
Yeah.
And you walk up to this tower and you drop it in. And I wasn't really expecting it. But the tower goes from blue to orange, and then there's sound effects. And then, so, and you're standing
I want to go to one of these places and just hang out and wait for somebody to buy their car.
Well, so there was this mom and daughter that were there they were trading in their car or selling it or something. And I walked up and put it in, and they got up and they walked over, and they were like, "Whoa, this is this is crazy." I was like, so we're all giggling like children because I'm getting. And so the one here in Chicago is, I think it's 7 cars tall, and there's cars on all 4 sides, so it's 28 cars, and it's this giant elevator that spins and everything. And so all the cars are on these big blue metal trays. And so my car was all the way to the top. So it shot all the way to the top, reached out, pulled my car on the big blue tray down, and then came down. And as it's coming down, it's spinning, and there's sound effects going on. And then when the car lands in front of you, it does like Ford beauty passes where it'll spin so you can see the left side, then it'll spin so you can see the right side, and then you can look at the back, and so it's showing off for you. And then it slides it over to a bay that has doors that open, and then you can they get in the car, put your license plate on, drive it out for you. And there's lights in the ground. So I'm imagining at night, this is way cooler. I got it at in the afternoon. But it was this whole dog and pony show about and then I felt ridiculous because it was a BMW. Like, oh my God, here I am, like this, this single white guy in his mid-30s getting his BMW out of a car vending machine and is doing all this hoopla. I'm like, oh, why didn't I just get like a Daihatsu? But then I got in the car and immediately fell in love.
Yeah.
It's an incredible vehicle. And it goes real fast, Mitch. It has 240 horsepower, which is about 140 more than anybody needs, really. Right. And it has, it's got an economy mode, a normal mode, and then a sport mode. And not only does that change the settings on the drivetrain, the transmission, and the engine, it also changes the settings on the suspension. And this car is already very nimble, handles like a freaking dream. Sport mode, it's real zippy. I very much have to be careful with speed limits everywhere now because it is like, I'll just be cruising. I'm like, I'm doing like 30, 35. And I look down, I'm doing like 48. I'm like, I'm barely touching the pedal on this thing. And it just cruises. But it is something that I have wanted for a long time. I used to be really, really, really into cars when I was younger. And then I realized how expensive they were. And I was like, guitars are fun and cheaper. Still, relatively, but not car expensive, and I've always, when I was married, I always drove the crappier of whatever combination of two vehicles we had. My wife always had the nice car and I always drove the crappy one. But now I had the opportunity because this gentleman unwittingly drove into the car. And there's a whole backstory about why I hated that Ford Escape anyways that I don't need to get into now. But I was actually really happy when they totaled it. I was, for personal reasons, very happy. But then I also realized that it afforded me an opportunity for the first time in my life to purchase a vehicle for myself that I actually wanted and wasn't a total hoopty, and so that was just a really neat moment of like, okay, the past 2 years have been really hard. But I'm in a position now where I can do something that I've nice for myself that I've wanted to do for a long time, but have put off because I was trying to, to do nice things for other people. And the irony, and not even ironies, this is like one of those, like, I literally laughed out loud when I found this out. It was supposed to come on Thursday so 2 Thursdays ago, like 10 days ago. But there was a transportation delay and it wasn't going to show up until Tuesday. And at first I was like, oh my God, this is so dumb. Like, how do you not know the car's not in Chicago? Like, I got a text message at Wednesday night during youth group at like 7:00, right after I finished the Bible study. Your car's been delayed. And I was supposed to pick it up in the morning. I was like, this morning you said it was there. You knew it wasn't there. So anyways, they delayed it to Tuesday. And then later that night, I realized Tuesday's July 20th. July 20th is the 1-year mark of my divorce. And so that's when I started laughing out loud. I was like, this is this is God being funny because of the reasons why I didn't like the car that I had previously. And now I get to replace that car with a car that I want and have wanted for a long time on a day that, otherwise would have been a really not great day for me, So it was just quite funny that it all shook out that way. So anyways, as you can tell, I like the car. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for you, man. That's cool. So
cool. Yeah, it's I think after this I'm gonna go drive. There's a coffee shop like, I don't know,
200 miles away.
No, there is one in Iowa that I want to go to, but I don't have time for that today. We have a game night for the youth group tonight, so I have to be back by 6.
You can make it.
I could, but I'm
240 horsepower.
No, but can
the cops even keep up?
Yeah. Oh yeah, sure. But I'm finding excuses to get in the car and just go somewhere.
Yeah. I had that experience when I got the Jeep because, man, I just, it's fun to just be out running around. So,
well, like I enjoy driving. It's for me, it's a pleasurable experience, especially like when I can get out of the city and get out into the country, which here isn't hard to do. Like I live in the city, but like I'm legit in one direction 5 minutes from the country, and then in the other direction's 20.
Yeah.
You know, so it doesn't take long. And then, you know, if I want to go downtown Chicago, that's only an hour. But I have plenty of options to get out and just enjoy, you know.
Which, driving. By the way, I have it in the back of my head to meet up with you in Chicago to go to some wrestling event at some point.
That'll happen.
Yeah. I mean, now that they're out touring again.
Yeah, well, they're going to be in Chicago's on the list. And it'll be all state. So I don't know what it's for, though.
Wasn't at a convenient time, and I was checking tickets, and they're all nosebleeds. So, yeah. So I thought we'd have to do a little bit more planning.
Yeah. I went to War Games when it was in Chicago, and it was amazing. And that was the one where Kevin Owens showed up, and people lost their minds.
Yeah,
it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was like right before, you know, a couple months before everything shut down. It was November of 2019.
Wrestling's fun. It's fun again. People.
Yeah. I don't know. I watched Raw and SmackDown this week only because there were crowds back and I wanted to see what that was going to be like.
Yeah.
But I still think NXT is better. I know we disagree on this.
You and I don't disagree.
Oh.
I've been enjoying NXT. It's a different product.
Oh, totally. 100%
different product.
Mm-hmm.
But also I watched AEW this last week too, just to be like, okay, I'm going to dip my toe back in and see, like, has the product gotten better? And marginally, like, I mean, it's not, you've got to approach it a little bit more like WCW or, like they're trying to be edgier. They're trying to be the young upstart that's trying to take on the Goliath, you know, and they're taking shots every so often at WWE, which I think is kind of tasteless, but just be yourself.
Yeah.
Enjoy. And, you know, the closing match was bloody, you know, and unashamedly bloody, you know, not that they tried to go overboard with it, but they did it, you know. So it's kind of, I wouldn't say attitude era kind of stuff, but it's I mean, I think they're trying to emulate some of that kind of stuff from back in the day. So the main event was essentially a last man standing match. They call it something else. Want to say like a death match or something like that, but yeah,
it's a little more aggressive sounding.
Yeah. And I think that's the point. So,
yeah.
But no, I've been enjoying the crowds being back, and, you know, Cena's back, at least for a little bit. Balor is back in SmackDown, which I think could be interesting, although he's been on 2 shows now and hasn't said a word yet.
On purpose.
Yeah. I don't know if they're going to modify the character or what they're going to do with it, but
well, he still has all the Prince.
Yeah, I really liked what he was doing in NXT.
Yeah, because that was an NXT version of Finn Balor. That was never main roster. So the fact that he's brought at least that that branding, if you will, back to the main roster is. But like his first match was against Sami Zayn, who's a heel, and Finn was a heel. Yeah. Well, he was kind of like a Stone Cold, you know, the anti-hero sort of, because everyone loves him. He's incredible. But
which it's a good place for him.
Yeah.
You know, I like the character. So, but anyway, I should get around to what's delighting me.
Oh, yeah.
You got any guesses?
It has to do with television. And
it's that TiVo, man.
The TiVo. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't even know TiVos were still a thing. So,
oh yeah. Well, the TiVo that's available right now, the TiVo Edge, is a few years old. You know, they haven't, and the company itself, I don't think is faring as well as it once was. But but at the same time, like, I think their stuff is decent. It does the job. It looks great. It's modern. I think the one area where they could do a better job is the streaming apps that they offer are not up to date. They have a streaming, for lack of a better way to put it, like a stick, or it's not really a stick, but they have a little streaming dongle that you can connect to your TV now that has a lot more apps available. But like Disney Plus and Peacock and that are not available on the regular boxes. So, and they don't have like where you can download apps and stuff. So it's either installed or it's not.
Oh, gotcha.
But I've got my Apple TV. I can manage that for now. It's not a big deal. But where this box excels for me, and you talked a little bit about like the sports stuff, being able to, it does all that where I can say, hey, I want you to record all the Brewer games, and it just records all the Brewer games. I'm sure it'll do that with the Packer games too for me and stuff like that. But there is a button on it called the skip button. And you have two different modes that you can use. And this is probably the best implemented way that I've ever seen this done in any DVR boxes. Basically, if now it hasn't been on all the shows that I've recorded, but it seems like if I leave it for a day or so, all of a sudden they show up. And I think it has to do with there must be a database somewhere that collects all the shows and then blocks out where the ads are, and then sends those back with the DVR content. Because I have had some shows that I've recorded that initially, because there's actually a little thing that says skip behind the recording, that indicates whether or not it works with this or not. So there must be some processing that happens in the background to where it eventually, that skip pops in. Cause I think that happened I want to say that happened with NXT this last week, that it recorded. And then like the next day I was going to go in and watch it, and then kind of ran out of time. And then the day after that, I went back in to watch it. And now all of a sudden now it had the skip feature. But it does it one of two ways. And the way it comes out of the box is it's in manual mode. So if you're watching the show and the commercial break starts, there's a big green button on the remote that you hit, and it pops right to the end of the commercial break. There's none of this like 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, or like on the Apple TV, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. It skips right to the end of the commercial break. Now there's an automatic mode that you don't even have to touch the button. It just automatically skips the ad break, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's just a little bit jarring because it's not like careful at all about how it does it. It's just like, oh, and now, we'll be back in a second, and boom, all of a sudden you're at the end of the commercial break. And yeah, it's a little bit jarring when you first experience it, but it's very, very cool how that works.
That is nice.
Yeah.
YouTube TV does not have that feature.
It's there's some really cool stuff with how it searches, how the what's the word that I'm looking for? How it manages the DVR settings, and the fact that I can set up a DVR setting to record. What was a setting that I was really impressed with the other day? There was a setting that I was very surprised that they offered, and I can't remember what it was now. But the settings that you have on your DVR are just insane. Oh, they have a setting that says, well, do you want to record everything, or do you want to start with a particular season of a show? It's like, I'm going to admit, I really enjoy SpongeBob, but I don't want to record all of SpongeBob. I know that I've watched up through the 8th season, and I think there's 12 seasons now, something like that. And they're playing a lot of stuff from the later seasons. So I basically told it, I said, okay, season 8 forward is all I want. So it's like, oh, okay. So now it only records anything that's season 8 or later. So from all the reruns. So I thought that was
really pretty
cool.
clever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with my TiVo.
What's the place that SpongeBob lives again?
Bikini Bottom.
There we go.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Which, if you don't think about it too hard, is fine. But if you start thinking about it a lot,
isn't there a lot in that show that's a more adult friendly? Or am I mistaken?
It's like a lot of those shows made for kids nowadays that they've got to put something in there for the adults. But that's one of the few like cartoons that I watch that you could probably get away with watching with your kids. That makes me laugh out loud. It's funny. Drives my wife crazy, so I got to kind of be careful when I watch it, but she's not a fan. Speaking of my wife, I was going to tell you this while we were not recording, but she told me this morning that she wanted me to let you know that she was okay with me telling her she couldn't look at Facebook at church. So
I forgot about that.
So we talked about that on the last episode. After we got done recording, I went and I picked her up from church, or from work rather. And as we were driving home, I was like, okay, so I need to make a confession real quick before you listen to the episode this week. I did make a joke about you looking at Facebook while you're at church. And she's like, I don't look at Facebook. I was like, yeah, I know it wasn't necessarily Facebook. And she's like, no, I'm usually on Amazon shopping. I was like, all right, we are definitely taking that off your phone. I was just kidding. I gotta tell you a couple of things about my wife. I love the crap out of her. If I make a joke about her, it's never malicious. She is the best sport. Like, she didn't used to be a great sport with jokes and stuff like that, but she is such a good sport now about taking those hits and laughing them off. So I really appreciate that about her. So she puts up with me. All right, man. Well, it's been fun.
It has been fun.
Yeah. Always enjoy talking to you, man.
Likewise. Cool.
Well, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Do want to let all the listeners know that you can check us out at innerdialogue.show. You can check out the back catalog. If you have questions, comments, anything that you would like to share with us, you can hit us up on our Twitters. I'm at Mitch Craig.
I am at Cam Brennan.
And we also are quite proficient on Instagram. I am Radio Mitch.
I'm at Cam Brennan.
We should, one of these times I should just go through and list all the services that we're on, and I should just be like, and I'm this, and then I'm at Cam Brennan.
Yep. I'm the same everywhere.
You can check out my website at subversiveblack.com.
CamBrennan.com.
Well, we could have some fun with that. So, all right, man. Well, we'll see you back here in a couple of weeks, and should be good. So have a good one.